Hi, everyone. My name's Michael Fern, and welcome to the LSP Method Podcast. And as I always do, I've got a wonderful guest. So today we've got Milena. Hi, how you going?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming along. We've got fun things to talk about. But as I do with all my guests, I'm going to just throw it over to you to introduce yourself. And obviously, as I always like to do, I get people to do some Lego builds. So thank you for doing that. But yeah, tell us who you are and all the Lego series play work you do. You've got some really fascinating stuff to talk about. So tell us, who are you, Milena?
Yeah, well, thanks, Michael. Well, where to start? Let's talk about where did the idea of LSP come from. So first of all, yes, as you said, I'm Milena, and what is interesting is the transition of from my HR and
Mm,
recruitment and learning and development into coaching and using LSP with my coaching, and that
yeah.
all followed with a lot of personal decisions and movement throughout the world, as we were chatting
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah. Tell us about that. You were saying
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
been to a few interesting places.
Yeah, so I used to live in Iraq before the
Wow.
90s. This is where I went to school, so that's quite interesting, and I
Yeah.
loved it there. After that, originally I'm Serbian, so I've moved. Well, my whole family moved back to Serbia. I've
Mm,
done pretty much till my university in Serbia, and then
mm.
I've got a job in Dubai and moved
Wow.
there for. I went there for 6 months, and oh, I can always come back. And then
Yeah.
16 years later, I'm like, okay,
16
I
years.
think
Wow.
I think the 6 months are long gone. So
Yeah. Amazing.
yeah, I
What traveling in your life?
loads of traveling, especially during my time in Dubai because I worked for an airline.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, so this is actually where how I connect all the career coaching with LSP. So that's a little bit of a background story. So
Yeah.
I started as cabin crew. All right. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
traveled.
Cool.
And then I thought, oh, well, there's more to life than this. And
Mm,
I really wanted to move into recruiting and HR. So I worked really hard on those layovers. I studied to get my HR degree.
mm.
And finally, I got that job. That was my dream job at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, and I've stayed in it for, well, almost 10 years.
Yeah. Cool.
Um, when I decided to I already felt, there's a little growth happening when you're a long time in a certain role.
Mm, yeah.
Great. I lived an amazing life. I've traveled the world. My life was in a suitcase. I've done all the recruitment campaigns around the world, but then I've met my partner and moved to Germany.
Yeah. Okay.
And Corona hit. So I was thinking a lot of people were actually left without jobs, as you know, and especially in the airline industry. So it
Mm.
started kind of step by step. I wanted to help people reconnect with their values, their strengths. What can they do next? How does their experience connect with anything else? Because that world is really specific when you're in an airline industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started with a couple of pro bono career coaching sessions, like a
Yeah.
group session, and that grew so much that I decided to do. Hey, I better do something that it's not only HR related. I want to actually help people discover those values, get where they want to be. There's so much out there.
Yeah.
So I decided to do a coaching certification, and this is where brain-based coaching comes in place, the neuroscience-based coaching, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic. It was right during Corona, so it was online, it was fantastic. And then I was like, oh yeah, after a couple of years, this is all great. But there must be something more. I want to enrich this toolkit. So it's
Mm.
not only about, I mean, it's great neuroscience and coaching, but there are other tools that we could use.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
and I've met, this is where I got actually introduced with Lego Serious Play. I met a
Yeah.
couple of people playing with Briggs, and they're like, yeah, but they don't seem like they're actually playing. So
No,
I
they're
was like,
playing, but it's something else.
yeah, something else is happening there. And it's colorful. It was great. I really, really liked what I said. It was just a glance in an organization where I worked.
Mm.
And then I was like, oh, slowly sniffing around. What is this? What does it actually
You're
do?
curious? Yeah.
This is how it usually goes. And then I start playing with it. Of course, somebody introduced the duck exercise to me. And then
Good
it
old
was like,
duck.
yeah, it's nothing without the duck, right?
Yeah.
So this, like, I had this explosion that just happened of ideas. So like, this is something that I want to do. This is
Mm,
great. It's colorful. It's amazing. And I generally like a lot of play in my work as well.
yeah.
And I just thought that was love at first sight. And since then,
Yeah.
I've been incorporating LSP in my coaching.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned
Oh yeah,
about the
build.
build,
Let me bring you up on the big screen so we can all see it. Tell us. I love that. Thank
yeah,
you for taking us through all that, how you got to LSP. But yeah, show us your build and what's it about? Your tower with you in it?
can you see it
Yeah,
well?
it's tricky. When they got the background, I reckon have it just in front of you, or you can turn the
Yeah.
background off. It's totally up to you. But if you have it in front of you, it can it's sort of you can
Okay.
see it more. It's a common thing that I always get with online stuff and Lego. It's always the virtual background that tricks
Yes.
everyone.
Let's try if it's in front of
Yeah,
me.
right in
If you,
front of you. Perfect.
or maybe I can put a piece of paper
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, no, that's all right. We can see it. I'm seeing some stairs. Ooh.
Yes. Or does this work? No, that's
No,
worse.
no, it's worse. That's interesting.
Okay.
I haven't seen that
All right,
actually.
let's
Yeah, show me.
try.
Oh, and
Um,
flames. Oh, yeah.
yes. So I'll do it like
I reckon just
influencers.
put it in front of your face. You should be able to see it. There we go.
Oh,
Perfect.
there we go. Yeah, that's a good tip.
It's awkward for you to
Um,
describe it now, but
yeah. Let's
oh,
try as
yeah,
well.
cool. Nice. As a
More, you can
door.
see this
Yeah, tell
on
us all
screen.
about it.
Yeah. So um, here, as you see at the bottom, so this is kind of my foundation. It's green, and it's I always see it as green is growing, and always something new that comes up at some point in your life that you
Mm,
realize that you need to change something. And this is the foundation that I was talking transition within my careers as well.
mm.
So yeah, I'm a big dog lover. You can see that right
Yeah, oh,
here,
nice.
doggy. And then this is the support system that I have, and that's my family and my husband. And then as we grow and go up, whether it's our career or our personal development, it's always different. They don't have that many bricks that are in this shape,
Mm,
but it's always colorful. It's always different. Something new happens. It's not always the same situations that you go through. So sometimes it's that way, sometimes it's a different way.
mm,
Then you got a bit of purple, and things change as your values change. Your direction change
mm.
as well. Um, and here is a bit of a of my hobby. She has one skate. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's actually for ice skating, but I do a lot of disco skating with
Disco
the
skating. Wow.
yeah.
That's super cool.
So that's what I love doing. And then she's carrying some donuts, which of course I like a bit of treats in my free time. Um, and then this person here, the head really represents something that you always look. It has two. It's two-faced.
Mm,
That you look back and forth through the doors. You always look for. Well, you. I'm talking about myself here. So
mm.
um, I'm always trying to open a new door, and this is what happens with coaching. This is what happened. How I discovered LSP. Maybe
Yeah,
this you can see it better like that.
yeah,
But that's not the only thing. There's always something to go up. There we go. The stairs.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And keep going up, keep going up. This road actually never ends with the stairs.
Mm,
Um, on those stairs, on that way, there is little flower. These are goals. Obviously, flag is a goal as well. And on top, you always hope that you are going to come out as a winner.
yeah.
Um, but she has still a step up, meaning still I'm always moving forward. It's not this is as well with the LSP, it's not the end. So
Yeah.
combining other tools, finding different ways and directions. Sorry, just
No,
as
it's
we
okay.
jinxed it before we talked, but here you can see her better.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so
Nice.
that's pretty much it. Me transitioning through life, different countries, and navigating the system around it. Always, that's not easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, from
Awesome.
Middle East to Europe, and then at Germany. At the end, the flame. You've asked me about the flame.
Yeah.
Um, is that sometimes you get burned on the way, so it's not
Mm,
always rosy. You
yeah.
get your setbacks, but knowing how to um, pick up yourself, pick up the bricks, and make
Yeah.
something new, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. I loved it. It's so funny getting back into doing these podcasts and it's like I've got to remind myself, I'd love, there's so many questions I'd love to ask you, like dive into different parts and talk about the support and this and that. And what does winning mean? And, you would appreciate it, being a coach is like, there's so many different directions you can go with it. I mean, that's one of the beauties of Lego Serious Play, whether it's in a team environment or like a one-on-one. But I always need to remind myself this is more like a podcast interview type thing. It's not like a coaching session where we could just dive
Yeah,
too
yeah,
deep into it.
yeah.
So I won't dive too deep into it, but I loved how you brought in doors and stairs, and I find there's some pieces in particular in the kits like that are just, they're so evocative and they have such good metaphors, and it's often about the movement from one space or state to another. So for you, it was like the door and then the stairs moving up. Whenever I see a model like yours, it always reminds me I've got to put more doors in. I've got to put more stairs in. Even flames are great because there's movement, or imagine
Yeah.
movement. And so,
It
yeah,
just
when I,
reminds me that things are dynamic.
yeah,
Just when you look at it, you know, wow, instantly, and that is the difference in coaching, where it's a little bit difficult on the brain. But this, as you see it, you know, wow, well, I know that this is movement. I know that something is happening.
yeah,
So
dynamic. I like the word you said, dynamic. It really is. Yeah. So cool. Now, there's a lot of things in that as well with your background. You're saying obviously you went up, sort of more HR work and more coaching work, and then you found, various tools from brain-based coaching to Lego Serious Play and things like that. So we could talk about that, but there's one thing I've been dying to ask you, which is it's a couple of things that I saw on LinkedIn recently that you've done, and it's very pertinent given that it's almost Valentine's Day
yeah.
coming up. And so I mean, apart from that work that you do, in the more corporate setting, the more business setting, which I'm sure a lot of listeners will be familiar with, although it is interesting that you sort of seem to combine it with a few other tools like brain-based coaching. And I think that can lead to some sort of special questions to ask and things like that. But besides that, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about first up was this play to connect thing. So maybe tell us a bit more about that and why it's related to Valentine's Day. And yeah, tell us, for those who haven't heard, what is play to connect and how is it related to Lego Serious Play, and tell us all your experiences with it.
Yes, I'm so excited about that specific, I call it event slash workshop.
Yeah.
Um, I got inspired by actually another LSP facilitator that I've met, and she was doing something similar.
Mm.
Um, but then I thought, okay, let's see how we can do an LSP session with Legos with a twist.
Yeah.
So as we know in LSP world, right, we ask the question, we build it, and then we have our metaphors,
Mm.
and this is how it usually moves in this corporate setting.
Yeah.
But since I was doing coaching so much, and then I thought, okay, well, how would that work in an environment where there's two people, well, actually couples,
Mm.
whether you just started dating or you're deeper in a relationship, or even married couples, it doesn't matter, partners of all sorts.
Yeah.
So how do I create a workshop that is not focused on some sort of development, in a sense, like in an organizational setting? How
Mm.
to make it fun and actually evoke some feelings, or broaden connection among people in
Yeah.
this fun and known and in safe environment. Let's call it like that. So
Yeah.
I thought, LSP is really interesting, but I love, as you know, to mix things. So I
Mm.
thought to develop a set of questions that are based on positive psychology,
Mm.
and that kind of create that safe environment for people to open up. So how does it work? You have a deck of cards
Yeah.
with a set of questions, and you pull those cards. Now I've developed in certain stages. What I've discovered with it is there's a difference with questions with people who just started dating within the first
Mm.
month,
Yeah.
6 months, let's say, and people who are long time together.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Um,
would be thinking about it.
for
Yeah.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And for example, one of those questions is, you could say, what do you admire most about me? It's a very simple question.
Mm.
And things that even we might know, if you're a long time in a relationship, you might know that, but it's so nice to hear it again,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So it just evokes some positive emotions in it, and it's nice to be reminded of these things,
Mm.
or things. What is my greatest memory?
Mm.
Um, what are my values, for example? And these things often change with time as well.
Mm.
So, for example, if you are new in date, with your partner,
Mm.
it would take. It's very weird if you go for, you're just dating and you go for drinks and then you start, oh, well, what's your dearest memory?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
start,
yeah. Of the last
like,
2 weeks.
yeah, I'm not sure if I really want to talk about it. And then, it comes weird. But when you come for an event with this mindset already,
Mm,
you get this set of questions in 2 hours
mm.
that will take you months, if not years,
Yeah, yeah.
to find out.
I love it. Well, it's like in normal Lego series play. It really does get to the heart of the matter quicker, and this gets to the heart of the matter, literally the heart of the matter.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so you get couples or partners or two people and you give them a sort of set questions and you give them some Lego. And I saw some wonderful photos of them, like sitting across the table from each other. And I also saw that there's drinks involved as well.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's a LSP event with a twist. So
Yeah.
apart from your Lego bricks and your deck of cards, there is some bubbly going around. There is some popcorn and snacks, so that it's kind of really a date night.
Mm,
Whatever you would get in the date night, you can have a couple of drinks. You're gonna relax, then you build. And the difference in this play to connect to normal LSPs, in an LSP setting, especially in corporate environment, you have certain amount of time to move on with your build. So
yeah.
whether it's give your participants a couple of minutes or 5 minutes, and then you just keep rolling. And this setting is actually they choose their pace
Okay.
because it's such a conversation opener that you might want to stay on some question and then, oh, well, I actually didn't know. Tell me more. And then you
Yeah.
start
Okay.
opening conversations as well, 10 years ago, this has happened, and then this has happened, and oh, wow. And some people stay with some questions for 15 minutes and
Yeah.
some five. And it's really amazing because it's really self-paced then. And my
Yeah.
involvement, I have to really put on all my radars to understand how much people want me to be involved or not.
Yeah.
Because it's very personal. So I would go around, but as well, I would step back when needed and say, look, if you want more clarification, if you'd like me to, if you need some more inspiration, so I'm here.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would normally let them have these conversations.
Then drive the pace of it. Yeah, that's interesting. And you're right. It's a very different setup to a corporate environment where you're driving that. Interestingly, it's still like you're saying, you've got to be on your game as a facilitator and really noticing the room in a totally different way. Less corporate, less those sorts of dynamics. And yeah, it's fascinating. I love the idea of self-paced or sort of self-timed Lego serious play. And one thing I loved as well was it looked like you get a few of them together. So it's funny. Was it Kate that you chatted to about this?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
right.
I actually trained Kate many, many years ago. And so I remember her talking about a thing where it was in couples. And in my mind, it was only ever like people would go off just as a couple. But the thing that I was really interested with your one as well was that there's like 5 or 6 couples in a room. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and one thing I just realized with that is, one of the great things with Lego Serious Play is and I think I rely on as a facilitator is that social pressure, that peer pressure, that look, everyone's doing it, so I'll go along with it. And I think that
Mhm.
that momentum really helps in a corporate environment. It's like, I'm a bit skeptical, but hey, 5 other people are doing it, so I'll do it. And I was thinking,
Mhm.
you could have a similar problem with couple stuff if it's just like, it's just one couple going off and doing it, and you're encouraging one couple. Whereas if you can get them in a room and there's other couples, it becomes this not peer pressure, but sort of socially okay. They see other people doing it. We're all in it. We're all in it together. It's weird, but we're going to do it.
Together.
Yeah, and it sort of helps them to get over that sort of initial hump of, well, this is weird, but in the end, it gets to, wow, this is cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love the
It's-
I love sorry to interrupt. I love the little tweaks you've done to that, like the self pace, the getting in a groom. It really shows to me that you really understand like group dynamics and psychology and getting a group to sort of buy in and do something. So yeah, it's great. I love hearing that.
Thanks for bringing that up because what I wanted to do with this is actually do create a purposeful date night
Yeah.
that really with a purpose. So you might go to the movies, you might go for dinners, and then sometimes you really don't know what do you want to talk about, and it feels awkward to ask certain questions, and then
Mm,
it just becomes, a repetitive thing. Well,
mm,
this creates an excitement, something new. And when you talk about the buy-in, that's very interesting. The reason why I have a lot of people in the same room is because I do want that date night vibe still. So kind of a restaurant vibe. You have
yeah.
your space. Nobody can hear what the other couples are talking. They have, I like to call it the German distance between the
Love it.
tables.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
So, and what is usually interesting is that when the couples do come in, it's usually one person who initiated this.
Yeah.
And the other person, more or less, is not really aware of what is going to happen, really.
Nice.
So I'll tell you a couple of interesting things. Like on my last event, it was usually the girls who brought their boyfriends or their partners,
Yeah.
um, and you can see they really did they really come as a favor to your
Yeah.
partner? Again, they were not really sure what's happening. So
Yeah.
I always take time for the first 15 minutes to actually explain what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I really want to make sure that people understand that this is not a therapy. It's not a couples therapy. This is a
Mm,
fun way of broadening the connection, of just deepening actually that connection and just
yeah.
finding some new things about yourself. And that's why I focus on the positive psychology questions, that it's all safe. That
Yeah.
there are questions like, oh, what have you done that you would never tell your parents, for example?
Yeah. Good
Things like
question.
that. That are really like, well,
Yeah.
what's going on there? So usually I can tell on the partners' faces, I can see who brought who to the event.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's
So,
I love it.
and then
Oh, keep going, keep going.
yeah, so at the end, I always ask for feedback,
Yeah.
and then the partners would be so open because it was such a fun experience. And then I say, well, initially when I walked in, I didn't know what was happening, and I was not sure what's going to happen. But then when I start with the first question, then the second, the more they went into, they just had a blast.
Yeah. And it's so funny, Milena, I mean, what you described there really does mirror my experience and probably your experience with the corporate world as well. You get these people that come along and they're a bit reluctant. And so, so to do the similar thing where you've got to build up the credibility of the process, and you've got to take them from the skeptical partner who's coming along just as a, to be nice, okay, we'll go along, honey, sort of thing, to get them to buy in. It's great that you've identified that as the key to, it's the key to corporate groups, is to those
Absolutely.
first 15-20 minutes is to really get them to buy into it.
Absolutely. And this is where exactly that's always the same in any setting that you do,
Mm,
whether it's corporate environment or whether it's something with a twist like that, play to connect, because you
mm.
have to get that buy-in. And you can always tell in a corporate environment who's here because their boss told them to
Yeah,
come,
yeah. And who wants to be there?
right?
Yeah,
And who's actually, wow, let's just,
yeah,
this is really fun. And or you already have that buy-in before you even entered the room.
yeah,
So you always have to kind of fight those little fires and get the buy-in. But then once you get that,
yeah.
it's really amazing. And they're actually the ones who then build
Exactly.
this.
They do.
It's there.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I've talked with a lot of people about this before. It's like the really skeptical ones, the really, crossed arms, I don't want to do it. If you can just show them what it is and get them to do a build, and like, they're often the champions of it. They're often the ones that get the most into it. And I realized a while back it's because they were the most passionate ones in the past, and they've been so jaded by other things they've had to do at work, the whether it's other methods or whether it's just their work or whatever. And so they put up this shield and that's what the barrier is. It's like, it's the sort of, I don't want to do it. But then
Yeah.
you give them that power back and say, hey, look, we want your passion. We want to hear what you have to say, and people are listening to it. And then suddenly that passionate person comes back out. And so yeah, it's interesting. I sort of feel that
I love
similarly.
that transition. I love that transition because, in a normal setting, why LSP is so powerful in corporate environment is we've all been there. You also have L&D experience, and we've all attended these workshops where we sit in a room and you just can't wait till it's done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's just nobody ask any additional questions. Let's just finish it. Somebody
Yeah.
needs to check the
Tick.
box that they're
Done.
doing it, and nothing actually happens. No learning happens. People are afraid to speak up. People might write some ideas down, but nothing really happens
Yeah. Yeah.
freely. Well, here you have the freedom to actually, once you get that buy-in, when they realize that they have their freedom of expression, of saying as
Mm.
much as they want, or as little if they don't want to talk too much about the
Mm.
model, but they build them for themselves, and they know what that means, and that stays with them. That remains in the brain somewhere. So when you make those things tangible, it's completely different than just sitting in a meeting, writing a bunch of notes, or
Yeah.
voting, or throwing a ball and asking questions, for example.
Totally. Totally. Hey, I wanted to pick up on one other thing you mentioned a bit earlier when you were talking about with the Play to Connect is you mentioned positive psychology and more questions like from that. And the reason why my brain, I went, like I love hearing that because often my questions are very much driven by positive psychology, by frameworks that are very future focused, positive type questions. And it's funny, it's one thing I do in my training. I talk about different types of questions, and you can go to the challenges, the risks. In a couple situation, it might be the more therapeutic problems
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. And it works. Like LSP is just a method for having a conversation, but I always say to, like, as a facilitator, do I want to create that experience for people, and do I want
Mhm,
them to live in that experience? And so I'm
mhm,
just a big fan of positive psychology. I'm a big fan of appreciative inquiry, which is was a precursor to positive psychology, and
mhm.
is still around. And so yeah, when you said that, I was just like, that's the sort of question I love, and I could see it playing really well with couples as well. That it's things like gratitude. It's like, what do you value most, or and I can see questions around our future together, and it's
Exactly.
just it's more positive. Like the reason I love positive stuff is because it draws you forward. It inspires you. I think too many, particularly in the corporate world, there's too many people stuck in the muck of problems and
Yes,
the current situation, and it's like, let's just inspire people to go towards a better a better future, whether it's as couples or as a team. Or so yeah, I love that when you said it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the difference between when I talk about coaching and therapy,
Mm,
because coaching is, it's always focused on that solution. It's always looking in the future,
mm,
and it always looks for how to get there. It's
mm.
always about planning. While and you never, well, very very little you tackle with the problem and dwelling in the past. So you as a coach or as a facilitator, you need to know a little bit. You don't want to go that much into the problem, but
Yeah,
you want to actually focus on this, on the solution.
yeah,
um, while in therapy you do a lot of problem dwelling. So
yeah,
and this is how you nicely compared it. Yeah, you enjoy the positive psychology questions because they are future focused.
yeah,
In Play to Connect, this is what it is about. And also rediscovering some things, because for couples that may be a long time together, as we change through time, our values change, our
mm,
perspectives change, our experiences change. So
yeah,
maybe what something was, or I thought was my dearest memory, for example,
yeah,
change.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Um, and, there's questions of like how uh, like simple questions like, what would you like to buy for yourself that you never bought, or what would you like to
yeah,
have as a present, for example. And you wouldn't, some people shy of saying that, and then you say, well, depends on the answer, but then you go, why would you like to have that? And so many things come up from that. So very simple and little questions can lead up to big conversations. And
yeah, yeah. Do you?
uh,
A question popped up in my mind, Milena. You give them the questions like that they can then sort of self-pace them. Do you give
yeah.
them any guidance on the what I call the probing questions? So just like you said, then it's like, what did you want to buy is the question that you've never bought for yourself. But then the
Mhm.
probing question is the why, and why is an interesting one. But in terms of, do you give them any guidance on how to continue the conversation after the initial sort of prompt and build?
Yeah, I do,
Cool.
and that's the point of that's the twist with Play to Connect, because
Yeah.
um, in a corporate setting, it is a bit structured, and you
Mm.
know where you want to go, and this is the amount of time that we have. Kind of, okay, you have 3 minutes. We stick to the topic.
Mm.
Very rarely you expand to something else.
Yeah.
While in Play to Connect, I always encourage and tell them that it is a safe, that it is a self-paced, and I explain that usually this is done in a corporate setting, and this
Mm.
is what was initially made, but this is the twist.
Yeah.
So that they feel safe, and this is something that that comes in play when it comes to brain-based coaching, is creating that environment where you have the autonomy to actually build what you want, and
Mm.
to have this self-paced of I don't want this to be led in a way. Maybe I want to explore more about this, and I want to know this about my partner, and I don't want somebody to tell me I have 2 minutes to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like that. I really do like that. It's making me think about the way I do it in the corporate world. And I often, it's interesting as well. Like in my mind with Lego Serious Play, it's always individual model and then there's shared and landscape. So it's like the group stuff. And, I've always felt that there's a pair, couple, buddy type build that, and I've brought it in on occasions where it's, you get together. I mean, Play to Connect is that it's couple, it's two. And it mirrors the sort of facilitation techniques, the 1, 2, 4, all. Like it's, we do the one, which is individual. We don't do it in the corporate world. We don't do a lot of the two, which is the pair, which is, Play to Connect. But then we do the 4 or the 6, which is the group, and then the all is the bigger group. And so I actually think listening to you talk about this, it's inspired me to try and get more of this pair building, this couple building into the corporate realm. And it's inspired me to think about how I can change my timing, because I'm just like 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes, I'm very like that. And you sort of have to be, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there's a way to bring in that sort of self-paced, more exploratory way that
Mhm.
you've described, but in the corporate realm. I'm picturing like getting them in pairs, doing that similar thing, and then almost like changing it up, almost like a speed dating thing. So they're not
Yeah.
permanent couples. They go to another couple after that. That could be interesting. I've done similar
Mhm.
things, but not much. Anyway, it's got me thinking. Which is what I love about these conversations.
It's
Um,
definitely worth exploring. I mean,
mm,
you could, for example, get two two managers,
mm,
or I remember from your podcast that, and I really like that when you were the guest, where you said that you choose your clients. That is really important to understand who your clients are. And you
mm.
mentioned that you don't want to work with C-level
No,
associates
I hate
anymore.
working with sea
And
level. Sorry, everyone out there. That's
but no, I really appreciated that,
mm,
because that's really important to understand who you want to work with.
mm,
And that they can sense that they can bounce off that energy as well.
mm,
And that's why I'm talking about, let's say, a group of managers, or two from two different departments. When you have this peer learning, for
mm,
example, I'm just getting inspired as we speak,
mm,
and they might be managing two different teams, and you, instead of just sitting saying, well, how do you manage, what are your tricks to that, what are your challenges to that, they
mm.
can do it with Lego.
Yeah,
um, and then bounce
yeah.
off the ideas, learn from each other and learn about each other's challenges, than rather sitting in a room, well, this is my challenge, or this didn't really go well, and this quarter, and so on. So having them to build that, and pair people like that in
Yeah.
peer learning, that
Ah,
might be really.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Definitely want to explore it. Hey, we've got a few more builds though. You've done some builds. I want to
Oh,
get to them. So tell me about this
yes.
next one. So this was the one where I like to ask a lot of people this, like, what aren't we talking enough about? So what did you build? Tell us what we aren't talking enough about.
Yes, this should be easier to see. Now we have here the Christmas lady with the present and the bunny. So what we are not talking about in our industry, and we've touched upon it today, and that is our why. And I feel that this is what, like, kind of we get chained to certain topics, and always talk about when we appear, for example, on LinkedIn, or when we want to advertise LSP as a tool, or us as a facilitators, we always talk about the problem that we are solving, right? And we are talking about what's actually, well, is this your problem in your organization, or silos in teams, for example? But why are we doing that? And I feel that our why is not often heard. So I feel that we often get chained to this moment of explaining or convincing somebody of their problem, or creating that awareness, while in reality, what can make a real difference is why you're doing that. And I have explained a bit why I started doing career coaching, and why I really like to mix it with LSP, where I feel that people do have that they forget about their super skills, about their potential, and that you can actually shine so much once you do what you actually love.
Yeah.
So that's what I think we don't talk about, why we are facilitators. Why
Yeah.
do we want to help certain team or an organization? Why do we want to, let's say, help couples in play to connect?
Yeah.
Because this is why we have the present. I want to give you the present of my why,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
to bring that into our coaching, into our workshop. So you're not just getting LSP, you're
Yeah.
also getting the why, that I really want to be there, and I really want to help you achieve this and this, because of my beliefs that people can, when they're doing their best, that when they actually realize and map out what their strengths are and build on them, they can really shine too. So
Yeah. Oh, I
I think
like
that
that.
that's that we don't talk about enough in the industry.
Is the why. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you framed it as well, as, there is a certain style in business of the problem and solving the problem. Um, and it's funny, I think it's very alluring, or it's very like, you're told, hey, that's the way you got to do your marketing. Hit the pain points. I can solve your problem for you. We've all sort of seen that.
Yeah.
But I think it goes to the metaphor that underlies a lot of that, which is, a lot of corporate stuff is it's very sort of Western medical. It's like diagnose, fix, problem. And it's exactly what you're describing. Whereas what you're describing is the more the why. It's success, it's future, you know, it's looking forward. It's, even though you can look back and dive into the successes of the past, but I love it. Ties in a little bit what we're talking about with positive psychology. It's the why. Yeah, I like that. And I think when I do Lego series play, like I very rarely have a bad audience or a bad group. And I think part of it is because the way that I present it as a service is similar to that. It's the why. It's you just offer it, and then the people that want it and see what it can do, rather than it solves a problem and I need to get it, and I've got a problem team that I need, Lego series play to fix. It's more about, hey, this is what it does, and this is the why, like you described, and this is the future, and this is what it can do. If you want it, it's there. And so I find that teams that engage with that, you just get a lot better teams that want to engage with that, which I'm sure
And
you experience as well, like with your clients.
absolutely. And what is the difference? This is what I do in career coaching. If you have exactly two people doing the same thing,
Mm,
what is the difference? Is
mm.
there are a lot of LSP facilitators or coaches, and usually when I get my clients is when they talk to me in person. They can see all my posts about yes, this is the problem, this is how I can solve it for you. Great, and that's all fantastic. But you can do that too, and many other people
Yeah, yeah.
offer that too. But it is why you're doing that, and does that energy really resonate with them as well?
Yeah.
And once they feel that once they know that you are genuine with what you're doing, and that you really are invested in that,
Mm,
that makes the difference. And this is where I get most of my clients. It's just a
yeah.
conversation on when we actually speak about the things, and why I do what I do. And I think that this storytelling is really important.
Yeah. It's such a great insight, Milena, that, I mean, people, you can have a whole bunch of tools, but it's really, they're hiring you. They want you. They want, yes, your particular skills, but they want your energy. They want, what you're bringing to it. Um,
Absolutely.
So you're exactly right. Like, this, I mean, my goal is to have everyone in the world doing Lego serious play. And so, what happens then? Well, it's like, it's about, you using it, but it's about you. It's like, what do you bring? Your
Right,
why?
right,
I loved it. Yeah. I probably need to
right.
think,
And that's
think
why I
more about
really
that
liked as
myself.
you mentioned, the Kate inspired me for the play to connect. I really liked the twist. Not everything has to go by rules.
Mm.
LSP has certain rules, but it's your why. What do you bring in it? How can you what can you change and bring to that experience for people as well? And this is how
Yeah.
Play to Connect evolved. And by listening to people as well, I have developed these questions. Initially, there weren't three levels of questions.
Yeah, yeah. And you evolved it. You learned from those first experiences.
And when I do this 15 minutes presentation about LSP for people who just came to, as a favor to the other partner, they are later, there's so much, their feedback is just amazing. And their support that I have afterwards, whether it's for events or just have being subscribed to a newsletter, that's really amazing because that's where the buy-in came and where that energy came with me just
Yeah.
presenting why we are there and what is the expectation of it.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned rule breaking. I love a good rule breaker and breaking all the
yeah,
rules. So I mean, even just hearing you talk about some of the rules that you broke, I'm just like, great. And I mean, that part of that is because, that evolves a method. Like, just from what you've described, I'm like, man, I could change what I do in some of my stuff and make it better. And honestly, that's all I've done over the 12 years that I've done Lego Serious Players. I got taught a certain way, which
yes,
was okay, but I don't think it was the greatest when I first went to my certification 12 years
yeah,
ago. And all I've done is trial and error since, like you did. Like, you learned as you went along with Play to Connect that, there needs to be three levels, or there needs to be different questions for different,
yes,
and you just evolve it. And that's what I try and tell people when I train them. It's like, find your method in the method. And this is exactly what you've done.
yes,
And it's so good to see that, Lego Serious Play really is just like this base thing that we all should take and make our own and evolve. And, I could see in the future with everyone doing it, still, a million different versions of it. Like, your Play to Connect is a different version of it. And even what you do in coaching and even what you do in corporate, that's like yours, tailored to your audience with, and that's what you want to see. It's great.
absolutely. And I love that. It's find your method in the method. I really love that.
Mm,
And another two workshops that I'm planning to do. One is on Ikigai, which
mm,
probably you know what that is, and
mm,
I want to do that in a setting of people that might know each other or not, but maybe for five people, and then. This is where I found what I want to do, and it's all about the values. Where do you want to be? And this is and I use LSP as a tool to get there. So as anywhere as anything like in your career or in a certain job, if you stay too long in it, there's very little growth. And this is what happens with LSP. If you are just following this ABC, at some point you're going to think, well, okay, now I've mastered it, got comfortable with it. What else I can do? And where is my superpower? Where does that lie in? And for me, this is mixing it with coaching. And that's
mm,
where Ikigai comes and build your Ikigai, build your future, find your ideal employer. It could be as well about uh, the setback culture as well. This is something
mm.
that's a big topic that we've covered in that conference that we spoke about before. And it's great because recovering, these are some things that I have experienced and I can deeply connected to. And I would like to spread that awareness and help people understand that there is so much more when you
Yeah.
understand yourself. And
Yeah.
we often forget that because life happens. You are stuck in the same job, if we're talking about career coaching, and then it just the daily routine eats you up. And we always think about ourselves we are busy of thinking how to, do we fix ourselves rather on focusing on our superpowers and how do we shine from that? How, because naturally when you use them, you'll be much better than somebody else.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's the awareness that I would like to bring, and LSP is a tool for me that I bring this to the world because it's so colorful and it
Yeah.
creates the safe environment to do so.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love that. I love your philosophy on all this. And I mean, really, Lego Serious Play is this sort of infinite tool, and you're just taking it into all these spaces, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, there's one more build I've got you to do that I want you to, but I've got another question that I need to ask. So I work closely with another LSP facilitator in Germany, or another trainer called Michael Barsakides. And
Mhm.
so I've been fascinated with Germany and the German market for Lego Serious Play. Like, I just, when I chat with him, I think of all, I could be wrong, but of all the world, I think Germans do the most Lego Serious Play. And I just want to know why. Do you have any insights? What is it in the German psyche that just, like, first of all, do you find that? Do you find that people in Germany are really into Lego Serious Play? So that's first thing. And then why? Like,
Yeah,
what do you
that's really
think?
interesting. It's really interesting question because we all have these stereotypes in our mind, right?
Yeah.
How, certain maybe countries and nationalities have certain approach to
Yeah.
work, or but what I found fascinating in Germany is once you have explained the method, it has a big acceptance. So people are open to trying new things, and now that I've spoken to you about where my core comes from HR learning and development
Mm.
and Ikigai, I went once in a corporate world which were German bankers.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh my God, how will I handle this?
Yeah.
And the buy-in, but it was amazing. Like
Yeah.
everybody, like after the 15 minutes of brief, it was just so easy going and it was great. And then they were just referring to another. So I said to myself, well, if I can get through German bankers, then
Yeah.
this is awesome. So
I'm gonna
yeah,
keep exploring this why. Like, I'm convinced that they're the ones that do the most Lego Series Play, the most buy-in, and even the
yeah,
long sessions. Like, chatting with Michael and a few other facilitators, they seem to not mind. Like, here in Australia, like, if I get 2 hours, I'm happy, and I occasionally get 3 hours. But over there, I get the impression that, like, they're willing to spend the time
they are.
to dive deep into something. And obviously they enjoy the method, and they just, anyway, I'm fascinated by it. It's something I need to dive more into.
Yeah, and you know what? Once the first time I've moved to Germany, right? You come on with certain mindset, but
Mm,
then I worked for a couple of startups and bigger organizations before I went freelancing, and it was just amazing how people were open to learn and like you say, to do a deeper dive into detail. I think that it could be something that there's a lot of detail importance in focusing on details, and
yeah.
that's why they dive deeper. That could be the case.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Fascinating.
but
I'm going to keep investigating it.
yeah.
Now, we might have to wrap up soon, because I'm hearing it's later here in Australia, and I'm hearing my 4-year-old and 8-year-old screaming out that they're about to go to bed soon, which is always the way. But there's one more build that we've got you to do. So this was a free build where I'm just like, build whatever. So take us through it. Well, let me bring you up on the big screen. What was the last thing you built?
Yeah, so the last thing I've built is kind of what we've actually talked about a lot, and this is when people stay a lot in this gray area when you are doing something for a very long time, whether it is work or certain environment that you are in. It could be work,
Mm,
it could be anything personal. And then when that happens, very little growing is happening and learning, and this is
mm,
why there is a little skeleton there. But to bridge that, and once you actually, it has to come from within you that you would like to have that change.
mm.
And once that happens, right, so I think we've definitely jinxed the bills when
You've done a very delicate one. See, one of the
yeah,
problems
okay,
is
I'll hold it like
I
that.
get people to there you go, look at that. You got it by the bridge. You're holding it by the bridge. I love it.
Yeah, and the bridge is actually once you realize that that you want to change something, that once you start walking that bridge, the colors started opening up, and then you get to this where the grass grows, right?
Mm.
So you got all these different, the world is full of opportunities, and you have them in different colors and shapes, as I've actually spoke about in my tower. And then it's just for you to explore. And I would like to encourage everyone, whether it's an LSP, like we talked about, break a couple of rules, do something that you're passionate about. If you're just passionate about the way things are, that's fine too. I'm not saying that that's wrong. That's absolutely fine. But if you feel that there's something more that you can do. Explore it. You don't know what's going to come out of it, in which color, shape, or form it's going to come. So keep crossing those bridges and don't stay in the gray area.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I just love the use of color. Like I'm always excited when someone in Lego Series played. Like it was such a stark contrast from that first gray plate to the colorful ending. Oh, awesome, Milena. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and chatting Lego Series Play and Play to Connect. And I'll have to get you back on and dive more into your corporate work as well and your coaching.
Yeah.
I was just too fascinated with the Play to Connect stuff. Hey, where can people find you? Like, I presume LinkedIn. I'll have your full name there and a link to LinkedIn. But is there anything else, like any other way to find you or to follow along with what you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me.
Mm,
This was really awesome. I was so looking forward to this. And I think best way to reach me is on LinkedIn, but I also have my own company, which is called Dynamic Development Hub.
mm, mm.
And if somebody wants to visit that website, you can also reach me for there. So it's
Yeah.
Dynamic Development Hub. It's a bit long.com.
Oh, I like alliteration. Dynamic. I love the dynamic development.
TDH
Yeah,
for sure.
that's great.
And yeah, that's great. And you can find out more about Play to Connect there as well, among other workshops.
Yeah.
But yeah, LinkedIn is usually the best way to connect.
Yeah, definitely follow along because that's where I saw some of the awesome stuff you're doing. I'm like, wow, look at them, couples doing it in a room, and I was just fascinated and went down that rabbit hole, and here we are chatting. It's awesome. Thank you. Well, definitely we'll get you back on to chat about other things as well. So thanks, and maybe dive further into the German psyche and just understand how they do so much.
Topic.
It's like they're
Now
inspiring
I want
me.
to do more research. I
Yeah.
never thought about it. So thanks for that. Yeah, that's really interesting. I might actually do a couple of surveys.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I like it. Anyway, follow along with Milena and yeah, stay tuned for some more Lego Serious Play podcasts because we're just ramping up again for the year. And so yeah, looking forward to more chats. And thanks again, Milena, and
Thank
follow along.
you.
And yeah, we'll catch you all later. Bye.
Later. Bye.